Welcome to Unlearning with Laura, the podcast where you get to rewire your mind, reclaim your power, and break generational cycles. I'm Laura Stiles, clinical hypnotherapist and mindset coach, and founder of The Mindful Generation, the place where parents come to transform their lives and live with more purpose and freedom. Let's dive in. This episode is brought to you by Mother Cup of Tea, a gorgeous range of herbal blends designed to support women's hormone health, energy and well-being. Honestly, they are like a hug in a cup. You can grab your 25% off of their wellness collection using the discount link in the show notes and use the code MINDFUL25. In the words of my youngest,
Yeah, we all love tea.
How cute was that? Before we dive into this episode, just a gentle reminder, if you are enjoying this podcast, please hit follow, like, subscribe or share it with a friend. It makes such a huge difference for a small business owner like me, and it really helps this podcast to reach more mums who need it. Now, this week's episode is a short solo episode, and it's all about the resentment that we feel towards our partners over the mental load. Now, I am not sure if I've ever met another mum who hasn't felt that resentment, whether it's towards their partner, co-parent, manager or someone else. It doesn't always have to be directed towards a husband. So there's no man bashing here, honestly, but it can feel very heavy when you're doing all of the things and the resentment has built up. So just going to talk about that today. For mums, it feels like there is a universal experience of resentment, and it's a bit like a slow chipping away at feeling like we matter in relationships. I certainly felt like no one cared about me and my household for a long time, and I do remember once saying to my husband that I felt like Cinderella. I remember saying I just felt like I was slaving away every day. Every day was the same. It felt thankless, exhausting, and it always felt so much worse when he would say things like, "Oh, have you not done the food shop this week?" Honestly, thankfully that's his job now, but that was enough to drive me mad. And so often in motherhood, our needs just get moved to the back burner. We become less important, and so much of life just becomes about the kids and the grind of day-to-day life. We start to feel really small in our relationships and unimportant, and often we're not supporting each other as a couple anymore. We're not connecting romantically, and when we finally get to relax in the evenings, we're too tired to even speak. And when we realise that our old enjoyable lives are fading away, it can really start to lead to resentment. So the amount of responsibilities that women take on immediately after having babies is one of the biggest sources of resentment in relationships. Sometimes it can even get directed towards our kids. And I don't know if you felt this, but I have certainly heard other mums describe it, and it's all valid. As mums who are bogged down with the mental load, what I hear a lot from women in my world is things like, "Oh, my life has changed dramatically, but yet my partner's hasn't. He still does all of his fun things." So it's no wonder mums are feeling so resentful. I actually spoke to someone recently, and she said that her husband went running 3 times a week, played golf every other weekend, met friends in the pub a couple of times a month, and had time to play computer games. Meanwhile, she was recovering from burnout. She hadn't seen her friends in almost a year. She didn't even know what her interests were anymore, let alone had time to do them. She couldn't remember the last time she went out in the evening, and she actually thought she had early onset Alzheimer's because her brain was so full of the invisible load. That's how heavy it was. So yeah, she was full of brain fog, really bad memory, and understandably riddled with resentment towards her husband. So I see that a lot of partners can be really tuned in and doing a lot of the domestic load, which is wonderful. But so often the issue is that mums are thinking of all the things that no one else would ever consider. So it's that invisible stuff, isn't it? Honestly, and I can give an example of this. My husband wouldn't be thinking about any of this, but in my brain right now, these are the things that I'm thinking of that he literally wouldn't consider. So the kids have outgrown their wellies, need to buy some new ones. What bits do I need to buy for the holiday in 3 weeks? Those things in the boot of the car, they still need to go to the dump. That's been a few weeks of those just sitting there. Need to ensure that we've charged up the batteries for the cat flap before we go away. I need to confirm that hair appointment later on. Oh, And the kids need haircuts. Honestly, it's endless. There's more in my brain, but it just goes on. And I'm sure this is relatable for you as well. But it just goes to show how different our roles are when it comes to what needs to get done. Now, these unconscious roles can start before motherhood when we're happy and we have the time to take care of things and we have more time on our plates just to live our lives. When early motherhood starts, though, we continue with those roles. So through the fog of matrescence, we may not find the time or energy to communicate that actually it'd be great if you could take control of the entire task of meal planning, prepping and cooking it too. Dude, can you do that? Because, it is hard. You don't think about those things before you have kids, do you? You don't think, oh, do you know what? I'm going to make this quite equal. I'm going to make sure that no one burns out in the coming years. Yeah, we don't think about any of that, do we? We're just busy thinking about, oh, what's the bassinet going to look like in the nursery and what neutral colours do I want my baby to wear and all that kind of stuff. So it's just often the case that dads think mums are better at all of it because we've been doing a lot of it since before kids, and so they don't need to step up. And some can even resort to a bit of weaponised incompetence. But really, these dads are more than capable of learning how to use the washing machine and the hoover. And honestly, like I said earlier, I'm not man-bashing. It's just that we've naturally fallen into these roles. And I've said this before, but it also does stem from our subconscious programming from childhood as well. I know I talked about that a lot on another episode. So what 2 things can you do today to try and release some of that resentment? Well, one thing could be if you scroll back to episode 20 of this podcast, I recorded back in June time, I think. That's a hypnosis session all about releasing resentment. It is a subconscious reset for overloaded mums. So give that a listen every night for 30 days or as much as you can, and that will help a lot. Number 2, start a conversation. Have a chat with your partner, make sure you're both in a good mood, and pick one invisible task that's been weighing on you and ask if you can hand it over to them completely. So not just the doing, but the planning, the remembering, and all the mental tabs that come with it, because it's quite frustrating when you want to delegate something and that person still asks you, okay, can you just write me a list, or can you just tell me how you do that bit? You don't want to have to think about any of that whole task, do you? So an example of that is with my partner. He now does all of the meal planning. He does all of the cooking. He chooses the delivery slot, as he knows I'm mostly always at home, and pretty much takes care of most of the dinners and is fantastic. An important thing to remember with this is you need to learn to let go. If you are someone that is a little bit prone to wanting to take control of things, you can learn to release that. You can reprogram and rewire that and just feel liberated from it all. It's so nice to learn to let go and let them take control of the whole task. You might not like the way that they do it in the beginning, but as time goes on, honestly, my partner does that now, and it really has felt like a liberation for me to not have to think about it. So, even the smallest shift can just start to release some of that heaviness and make space for more connection and whatever else you want to invite into your life. You might even get to start that hobby that you want to start. On that note, a couple of weeks ago, I was invited to be a guest speaker for an event with Mums Who Build, which was in Walthamstow, and it was brilliant. And one of the coaches there was talking about the Fair Play deck of cards. If you haven't heard of these, I will pop the link to the website and the social media page for Fair Play. It's Fair Play Life, that's what it's called. It basically outlines a system for how to divide up household tasks fairly based on your needs. I think there was a book, I haven't read it, Fair Play. I should read it actually. And it also looks like there's a little documentary that you can watch as well. But it helps you to find the vocabulary that you need to change the way that you think and talk about your domestic life, and a system that sets you and your partner up for success in your relationship and your parenting. And I'm so glad that the lovely Sam talked about this at the event a couple of weeks ago, because this is the sort of thing that I created in my programs. Sorry, not the cards or anything like that, but I have created communication prompts to, help to resolve these kinds of issues in relationships from a place of compassion rather than starting an argument, and so that no one feels like they're being nagged and that kind of thing. So this is something that I offer in my programs, but I have to say, now I've discovered the Fair Play card deck, it's such a great practical tool that will help you to gamify a system with 4 easy to follow rules. So check it out and let me know how you get on with divvying up all the tasks. Right, that's it from me. A short and sweet one today. What else do I need to tell you? A couple of things. I have got my private Facebook group, The Village, closing down today. For the people who are in that group who may be listening, you know the reasons why. But for those who are not in that group, I will let you know here that as a big advocate for preventing burnout and living a life of ease and freedom, I don't want to spread myself too thin. And the group was feeling like there wasn't a huge amount of engagement in there. There wasn't actually a huge group of people in there, but it was a beautiful group of lovely ladies. But I was starting to feel like sometimes it was a bit of a chore having to go into all the different platforms and post. But mostly, I really don't want it to feel like a chore for the people that were in there. I didn't want them to think, oh, I need to respond to that or whatever. I don't want anyone's lives to feel like it's a chore having to read things and respond to things. So I'm going to dedicate my time for free tips and resources on Instagram. That automatically goes to my Facebook page, which isn't a group, but it's a page, and then LinkedIn as well. So that's where I will focus my social media presence. And then obviously this podcast is free as well. So you can get so many lovely, helpful tips and words of wisdom, and obviously the free hypnosis audios too, because I want to give away as much as I can and support as much as I can for free. But also another big reason was that I want to ensure that I'm facilitating a sense of community that feels like a real community. So we don't have our village these days. We all live in a very different kind of world compared to years ago when you felt like you had that supportive village nearby. But what I would like to do is dip into real life in-person community, and so that's going to look like facilitating mother circles or doing guided hypnosis or EFT or group parent coaching. Those kinds of ideas are wafting around my brain right now. And that involves doing in-person stuff at a beautiful wellness studio, which is local to me. So if you do live near to Marlborough or Swindon in Wiltshire, then tune into my socials for that soon. But I am looking to do, some in-person, lovely kind of group wellness sessions for mums. So watch this space. If you're considering working with me virtually one-to-one, then check out the show notes for my links. You can book in a free consultation call and we can have a casual chat, no obligation. And that's it from me. Take care. Bye.